Welcome to the Heavy Handed Edition. I'm your host, Heavy Handed Jay. Pleasure to be in the building with you. Y'all know what it is. It's Cinco de Mayo. You know what that means? It's probably a Canelo fight weekend. And we got Canelo versus John Ryder going down in Mexico City, I believe, Azteca Stadium. Uh, yeah, Canelo fight weekend, Cinco de Mayo, the return of Canelo. It's been about a year to date since we've seen old Canelo. And he's back. Canelo is back, coming off the win over Golovkin, and prior to that, the loss to Bivol. Uh, we thought this was going to be a rematch of Bivol, is what we were told, but maybe it didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. So we're going to see. I'm in family mode. See if I can still. Yeah, but yeah, man, Canelo fight weekend. To be honest with you, I'm not feeling the vibes. I'm not feeling the vibes. Doesn't seem like a Canelo fight weekend. The excitement's not there, and I think that's just due to the opponent. That's what I think it's due to. It's a homecoming fight for Canelo, going down to Mexico City. I'm excited to see the crowd, to see what kind of crowd we have. Excited for that, to see I don't know if it's an outdoor stadium, but I love outdoor stadiums. Versus John Ryder, a guy I don't know a lot about. So I'm interested to get some of the homies in, and maybe they can bring us up to speed on what Canelo's doing here with John Ryder. Maybe they can give me some insight on who John Ryder is. I don't know a lot about him, man. I did a little research. Few names I've recognized on John Ryder's resume. We got a decision over Daniel Jacobs, and we have Colin Smith on there, a loss to Colin Smith. So we have a split decision win over Daniel Jacobs and a unanimous decision loss to Colin Smith. So two guys that Canelo has beat already. So very interesting. I'm gonna see if I can get some of the boys in here and we could chop it up. Vega, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How I'm coming in? Good.
Yeah, you sound amazing, bro. So what it is, man? It's a Canelo fight weekend. It's Cinco de Mayo. I'm sure everybody getting their drink on. But I'm just not feeling the vibes, man. Are you feeling the vibes? Are you excited? Is it that feel when we got the so-called torchbearer, the so-called face of boxing, putting on for his countrymen? Are the vibes there for you?
So, Canelo Alvarez has been a main fighter, in the boxing world since, I would say, definitely the Floyd Mayweather fight. That's kind of was introduced to the mass public. So that's 2013. So for 10 years, he's been reigning as this big money making, one of the best boxers in the world, one that you definitely want to check out. And the only reason why I know he's fighting is because I'm a boxing fanatic. Not one person has texted me. Not one person has called me. No one I've walked by I've heard talking about it. Yeah, I think what used to be the face of boxing has now turned to what? I think it's a good question. Maybe we're gonna get an answer with this fight, or we'll see how it follows up from here. Also, this fight, it's actually not in Mexico City. It's in Jalisco, which is the home state of where Canelo's from. It's like a city near where he's from. He's from Guadalajara. So it is the stadium for the second biggest team in Mexico.
Is it the Azteca Stadium?
No, it is called Estadio Akron.
All right, I'm not going to
It's a
say
newer
that.
city. It's a newer one. Yeah, Akron, like the Akron Stadium, basically, you could say.
Akron Stadium. Okay,
Yeah,
LeBron.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so let me give you your proper introduction, man. If y'all don't know, that's the bull, Alex Vega, man. He has his plug your channel to Vega so everybody can know where you at, where they can find Al. Al knows everything about boxing, man. I gotta tip my hat to him. I gotta tip my hat to this man's knowledge. He does know his shit. And a very informative dude. He got us a pick'em league going. His administration skills are off the charts. So Al, plug the channel, man.
Oh man, thank you for all that. But yes, so I'm a co-host at Fight Night Scores on YouTube. Fight Night, one word, scores. So basically, what we do there is we look at controversial or classic fights. This past weekend ago, we reviewed Floyd Mayweather versus Jose Luis Castillo. And we done several ones. We done Joe Horn versus Manny Pacquiao. That's a very controversial fight. We did a classic fight such as Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman. So yeah, we take a look back at those, and we also do a review and a preview of what's to come.
That's what's up, man. I think we got my boy. We got J Dub with us. Let me bring in J Dub, man, and I'm gonna ask him the same question. J Dub, you there? Oh, he got his mic muted. Well, J Dub, if you want to hop on, man, unmute that mic, and I'll bring you in. But I got somebody down here. Hold on, man. Let me. I can't even get to the damn bottom of this screen. Oh, there we go. That's Larry. Let me see if Larry there. Larry, you into this or what? There we go. Larry, you there? Just listening. Understood.
No worries.
No
But hey, I'll tell you this. Speaking of controversial, so you saw the Callum Smith on John Ryder's resume. I think that took place in maybe like 2019. But that's actually known as a very controversial decision. Many people feel that John Ryder won that clearly, and that Callum Smith was given a gift. So that's definitely one I want to review on the channel once we have a chance. I've never been able to rewatch it. It's hard to find tape on it, actually, which is really interesting.
You know, Callum Smith is an interesting subject himself, right? Because, you know, we see him now at 175. He's a destroyer. I don't know what the hell that Canelo fight with him was the strangest fight I ever seen, man. It's like Canelo punched his arms the whole night. Callum really didn't seem to return much fire. I heard, you know, we had our boy Matthews, who's a UK dude, might have more insight on it all. He was letting us know that, you know, 168, the dude was drained. He'd been out due to COVID. He couldn't even work out in the gym. So there's a lot of things going into that fight that had Callum Smith at a disadvantage, but he just didn't look good. But now at 175, he's a killer. So Callum Smith is a peculiar case to me.
No, most definitely. Like you said, that was during COVID. He didn't get the call. It wasn't official till like 6 weeks before the fight date. He couldn't leave his house. So, right, there was issues training. And he was coming off a year layoff. And like you said, now that he finally, he took like 9 months off, came back, destroys that Castillo gentleman, right? Lennon Castillo, who went all 12 with Bivol. Then he comes back and he goes to Saudi Arabia and destroys this Frenchman. I mean, 2 huge knockouts he gets. So now he's about to get the better be a fight. So that might actually be a good scrap. Like you said, it was just peculiar.
Let me see if J-Dub want to get in on this. J-Dub.
Hey, what's up, man?
So I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked Alex, man. You got the babies with you. That's always a good thing. Babies are welcome here on the Heavy Handed edition.
Yeah.
Are you feeling the vibe? The Cinco de Mayo? I'm sure you might be having a cerveza or some tequila or whatever the beverage of choice is for you. But are you feeling like it's the face of boxing fighting this weekend? Are you feeling like that, or is it just you missing the excitement?
I haven't really been thinking about it, honestly. Like, usually for the Mexican fights, I got like Mexican coworkers asking if I'm gonna put the fight on. So I don't know if it's because Ryan was so close to this one and they're just not feeling it, but the energy's not there. I'll tell you that.
Energy's not there, man. And I wanted to be able to do this pod without being a hater. Without being a hater, because I think it is contextual when it comes to Canelo. And you know what? I think I'm gonna just get straight to it. I used to be a big time Canelo fan. Canelo actually, after Mayweather was fading out, he was my favorite fighter. Here's the run that turned me into a Canelo fan. We had Trout, Floyd, Angelo, Erislandy Lara, Kirkland, Cotto. That was and we had Khan after that. Even though James Kirkland was totally outgunned, he dispatched of James as he should. It's spectacular knockout, put the fucking helicopter top on his ass. But that was the route, the Trout, when everybody said he wouldn't do it. Then he went to Floyd, even though he got smoked. He still went up there. The Alfredo Angelo fight, here or there, but he did what he's supposed to do. Erislandy Lara, that was another fight where everyone said he shouldn't have done it. He wouldn't do it. And then we had Cotto. So that was the run that made me a Canelo fan. And I just thought this guy was going to be a proper torchbearer. He was going to fight the fights that we wanted to see. And I wasn't a hater, man. I was like, I am a Canelo fan. I was willing to tell anybody. So then we went to a run that has kind of made me not a fan. Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, Colin Smith, Yildirim, Billy Joe, Caleb, Bivol, Golovkin III. Now, there's some good names there. Don't get me wrong. My only bone to pick is that I didn't ask for not a single fight out of, 7? I didn't ask for not one of those fights. Sure, the Caleb Plant fight. Good fight. Caleb Plant's a good fighter. Dimitri Bivol, of course, right? Great fighter. Smoked Canelo. But I didn't ask for that. Now, is Dimitri Bivol a really good fighter that someone deserves kudos for fighting? Yes. Here's the thing. I want to be excited about fights. Did we know that Gervonta Davis was going to smoke Ryan Garcia? Yeah, most of us did. But Garcia brought personality. He brought gravitas to the fight. And as a fight fan, I need that excitement, whether it's bullshit excitement or not. I need it. And you giving me somebody I asked for. All those guys I named off for Canelo, there's some really good names in there. Caleb Plant, Dimitri Bivol, Sergey Kovalev, people would argue, even Daniel Jacobs. Mm-hmm. But I didn't ask for none of them. What do you think about that, Vega?
Man, I honestly can't disagree. It's true, right? I mean, it's good names. You know, Sergey Kovalev was maybe the best light heavyweight at that time. You know, we didn't know Bivol like that back then. I mean, he had lost his title but regained it, right?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, with just his resume there, I mean, he was a dude that he took on everyone that he could, except for Stevenson was the only fight he didn't get. You know, he had a controversial fight with Andre Ward. Actually, some people might consider it 2 controversial fights. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but yeah, it's a really good point. No one was like, you know, Danny Jacob. Okay, it was it was Canelo, it was Triple G, and then it was Jacobs. But no one really saw Jacobs as the same stratosphere as a Golovkin,
Matty Ice, what up?
And a Canelo. So I think it's a good point. We didn't say, hey, he said he wanted to undispute 160, and then COVID happens, and now it's undispute 168, and he did it. So no, it's a really interesting point.
Yeah, man. I got my man Matt, Mixed Combat Radio. I don't know if it's not in my algorithm anymore or whatever it be. I don't be seeing you no more, Matt. Hey, Matt, I'm gonna drop the link in our chat in case you want to jump on. I'd love to have your opinion about everything. Damn, what the fuck? Oh man. Copy link. But give me a second. I'm gonna get to it. But yeah, man, I loved Canelo as much as anybody did. And like I said, those names that I rattled off, good fighters there. Good fighters. You got Rocky Fielding here nor there. You got Daniel Jacobs. You got Sergey Kovalev. You got Colin Smith. Didn't care for Abner Yildirim. Billy Joe, Caleb Bivol, third Triple G. Look, the first Triple G fight, I wanted it. I even wanted the second one, but at that time it was clear that Gennady was aging. I'm a big time Gennady fan. I love Gennady. Don't get me going about Gennady. I say if we would have gotten him young, he'd have been the best middleweight we may have ever seen. But man, it's just something that I didn't ask for those fights. And I want the fights that I asked for, whether they're really good or not. And like I reference, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, nobody asked for Ryan Garcia really. And we kind of could predict the outcome of it. But he brought energy, he brought excitement, and we were all psyched for that fight. Maybe it was anticlimactic, the knockout, this, that, or the other. But it was it was exciting. And right now, I don't think any of us are excited about this Canelo fight, man. I don't think any of us are excited about it. So that's something that I need as a boxing fan. I need to be excited. Canelo being the face of the sport, give me what I want, man. I'm fucking selfish, I guess. Are there good names on that record? I mean, you could argue for all these dudes. Now, Sergey Kovalev, the time we could have called Canelo, he finished off a lot of careers. You know what I mean? He finished a lot of dudes off, from Shane Mosley. A lot of dudes were at the tail end. And he went on and put the nail in the coffin. You could say that about Golovkin. You could say that about Angulo, Austin Trout, even Miguel Cotto. Did Cotto ever fight after that again?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he had a couple fights. Remember the last loss was Saddam Ali. But it's a good point. I mean, if you go a little earlier, right? Kerman Cintron, Alfonso Gomez, who was Carlos Baldomir with that nasty knockout. He fought what's his name? Lovemore Nadeau. I forgot how to pronounce the last name. So no, it's another great point you're making. He's been built up perfectly.
He has. I mean, they've done his thing with Canelo. He's been moved really well. But at this point in time, you hear that Gervonta Davis could be the face of the sport. That's what you're hearing these days. And I think that Canelo has carried the sport for, like you say, maybe a decade now. And it's just not, I haven't gotten what I want. I just haven't gotten what I want. So I'm a little upset about that, and Rocky Fielding, I don't know anything. Not Rocky Fielding, I'm sorry. John Ryder. I don't know nothing about him. I went and looked at the box rec. I see we got Colin Smith. He lost to Colin Smith, and I see he beat Daniel Jacobs, who seems to be on everybody's resume. So, man, I'm a little pissed. I'm kind of pissed at Canelo because I don't believe he don't have to do this, the fight that we want.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's not attainable anymore. We all wanted the Charlo. That would bring everybody in. You got the racial dynamics. You got a few things there that would make it an exciting fight. Charlo would talk that shit that we want. And we want Benavidez. If we don't get that, I'm gonna be fucking hot. We gotta get the Benavidez fight, man.
I'm in total agreement. Also, John Ryder lost to Billy Joe Saunders earlier in his career, FYI. So really interesting when you go back and take a look and look where we're at now. But I agree. It's there's really only one fight for me, and you just mentioned it. It's David Benavidez. They used to say, hey, you can't trust him, right? He's lost his title twice outside the ring, once for a failed drug test for recreational drugs and another time because of missed weight. Now, since then, what has he done? He was doing it while this was happening. He's been stopping everything. He's got one decision that we can remember, and he beat the dude down, right? And then since then, it's guys can barely make it, past 10. They're just taking the biggest beating of their lives. Caleb Plant. It's a good question. Who beat him better, right? Canelo, who was cruising and then turned it up, or was it Benavidez, who from round 4 onto the end was just put the worst beating we've seen on Caleb Plant? I guess I gave my answer.
Yeah. See, Matt, y'all remember Matt, man. He's an ex-TBV co-host. To me, the best times of TBV is when Matt was around and the shit was getting thick around there. Matt says we will get Benavidez versus Charlo before either against Canelo. Come on, man. I don't want to hear that shit, man. You know, that makes me sad to hear that. Why you say that, Matt? I mean, I think Canelo, before he sails off into the sunset and goes and plays golf and all that shit, we got to get, if we don't get Benavidez, man, that's just not okay. I think it's his duty to properly pass the torch. Let's talk about torch lineage. Oscar passed it to Floyd. They eventually had their fight. Floyd had his fight with Canelo. That was the passing of the torch. Chavez, who was prior to Oscar, passed it to Oscar. Those fights have to happen, man. And I just don't know who the guy is. Maybe Gervonta's just going to come in and take the goddamn thing. But I feel like to put David in place properly and give David the proper placement as that dude, we need to see David in the ring with Canelo. I think that fight will propel David into the spotlight with the Mexican fan base. And he can, I think he got the personality and the attitude that can really bring some energy back into the game. And I don't think he's gonna duck no smoke.
Man, we're agreeing too much. We're gonna have to find something where we're at odds. I think there was a recent quote where they asked Canelo,
Damn.
is Tank the face of boxing? And he said it takes more than one fight. But it's funny because I feel like we've talked. What have we been talking about the first 20 minutes? There's no buzz over this. Nobody cares about him going to Mexico and fighting John Ryder, his mandatory. No, there's one fight that's going to put him back to where he wants, and it's David Benavidez, not the Bivol rematch. And I don't think it's going to be Jamal Charlo, unfortunately. I think it'll get him close, but no, it's Benavidez. And I think he can beat Benavidez. But does he think he can do it? That's the big question. I think maybe after this fight, we're going to really have a true answer because there's nowhere else to run. There's nowhere else to go. It's either fight the John Ryders of the world or make sure everyone knows who the real king of boxing is right now and defeat David Benavidez.
Yeah. Matt doesn't seem to think it's going to happen, man. I think that fight is absolutely necessary. I was at the mechanic shop getting the car worked on. Older Mexican dudes, and they were like, "Fuck Canelo."
Oh,
I was shocked. I didn't know that Canelo wasn't beloved within the whole Mexican community. I was shocked to come to find that out, that there's a large faction of Mexican fight fans that ain't got no love for Canelo. And, as we joke about often, he's on the rock band tour, the country rock band tour with Caleb, Billy Joe, and Column. You know what I mean? And here we go again. John Ryder. I mean, I don't know anything about him, man. Maybe I'm not hardcore enough. I had to look at, and I'm fine with that. Have you actually seen John Ryder fight? Because I would love to give an analytical breakdown of I like to do the keys to victory. I don't know what kind of fight style John Ryder has.
I did see his last two fights. I saw the Danny Jacobs fight, and I saw the disappointing fight with Zach Parker. I mean, he's strongly built. He's just a little bit bigger than Canelo, probably about 5'9". But yeah, thick, as the kids would say, pause, right? And he's going to come forward. He doesn't do anything spectacular, right? He's not particularly fast. He's not particularly powerful, but he's a tough guy. He's a dude he's willing to grind out whatever you have to try to get on the inside and throw a couple combinations. But I mean, there's, like I said, you watch him, there's nothing that sticks out besides, I guess I can go back to it, being that he looks like he has toughness. And he's a southpaw, if I didn't mention that.
Any power?
Nothing particular. I don't. It's not like he has a great straight left or a great, right hook. You know what I mean? There's nothing there that's gonna stick out. But he's gonna come to fight. Against Zach Parker. Zach Parker was supposed to be a tricky opponent. He was a switch hitter. He can bang. He can box. And first couple rounds, Ryder was having issues trying to get on the inside. And then he found his timing, found his rhythm to be able to get on the inside. started having success, won a couple rounds, and then we hear Zach Parker can't continue. He has a broken hand. So, Danny Jacobs, it was kind of the same thing. Jacobs was outboxing him. He lets off the gas. John Ryder has a strong second half, pulls the split decision victory.
I was looking at the box rec right now. The guy took an L to Rocky Fielding. So, yeah, Matt is saying, fight should go about 4 to 6 rounds. Where are we, man? Like, what's next for Canelo? Because honestly, I don't know if this guy's like on his final tour to just go ahead and fade out. That's what it feels like. I don't know if he has the incentive in him. I think he's too high up. He's on a pedestal where maybe he don't give a fuck about what we think. He don't give a damn. And I don't like that. One thing I did do was I went back and looked and said, okay, let me see what Floyd did. And from the time Floyd took on Oscar, it was mostly guys we wanted to see. You could argue Robert Guerrero, and of course the very last fight with Andre Berto. But after that, in between that time, after he got the torch, he gave us everybody we wanted to see for the most part. And you could say Maidana kind of fought his way into that position. But yeah, I know Canelo's young, but I mean, is he old? What does the guy have? 60 fights? How many fights does Canelo have? Let me see here.
Yeah, Canelo, he 62 fights at 32.
Yeah, that's a lot of fights, man. So I don't know. We could be, I want to see. I love Canelo. There's a part of me that loves Canelo, but I'm mad at him. I'm just mad at him because I feel like he doesn't care what we want. He doesn't care. Not saying that he should, but I feel like you have a duty as the face of the sport to give the people what they want. And that Benavidez fight, if we don't get it, I think that's going to be bad for how we perceive Canelo going forward. Matt says, got to remember, Canelo went for a fighter/worker to a promoter boss. Different class interest. So what you mean? He's he's securing the bag. Is that what we're saying? You can't only secure the bag though. You know what I mean? You gotta give us what we want. You gotta give us. It can't just be dudes who are totally outgunned that we don't want to see. And this John Ryder fight, man, is just not interesting. And nobody's excited about it. Most of all, I want to be excited for Canelo. I think he deserves for us to be excited when he comes in the ring. But I think that run he did with DAZN didn't do him any favors. Initially, when we first started getting these guys, when the introduction of these subscription-based formats, I was the first one when we heard Canelo had that 10-fight deal, like that, that early report where it was like he has a 10-fight deal and X amount of millions. I said, this is the death of boxing. Because pay-per-view, here's my thing about pay-per-view. And when DAZN first came out and ESPN Plus first came out, everybody loved it because it was cheap and you could see your guy. You could see your guy for a good price. But I always knew the point of pay-per-view is that it was incentive-based, which I was fine with because it meant that the two really good fighters would fight. Now that concept has been perverted, and now we're getting showcase pay-per-view fights. I knew once the subscription-based format came in, we're now paying for retention. We're not paying for incentive. We're not paying for two really good fighters or the two best in the ring. Now they want you to subscribe for a featured fighter and just to retain your subscription. And that's why I always prefer pay-per-view. I've always preferred pay-per-view because this is incentivized on two good guys fighting. If you want my money, you give me the two best. You give me two damn good fighters, and you can get it. You can always get my money. But the subscription-based format, to me, has been one of the things that boxing, like Larry Merchant famously said, boxing is a baby born with a black eye, can't be whatever. Yeah, um, I think that's one of the things that's really hurt boxing. That we get these fighters in the ring now, and they don't necessarily have to be fighting anyone, but they get to retain your subscription for another month, so everybody's happy.
Yeah, they're treating these fighters as if they're franchises, right? I mean, and it's kind of funny because if you look at like the NBA or even the NFL, they kind of do the opposite. They try to sell you on the specific player. You know what I mean? You look at the NBA, LeBron is a huge moneymaker, right? And then you look at the other players, you have, the Donovan Mitchells, the Kyrie Irvings, they do their shoes, they have their endorsements, and the NBA tries to tie it into into their products, selling it probably at the stadiums, making sure that these guys are the face of the franchises. But the difference with boxing and the NBA is once the individual isn't at that high level anymore, they'll replace it. In boxing, nah, they squeeze everything they can out of it until it finally doesn't bring back what they are looking for. So it's really interesting how it's been working. But I'll play defense for Canelo here. Okay, so
Yeah, please.
so we'll look here, right? So like you said, since Mayweather and Gululada, Kirkland, Makoto, right? All these guys had some type of danger except for Angulo, which was out the Mayweather loss. So we give him an excuse, right? And then, the Amir Khan was out of nowhere. Nobody knows why that fight was made.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll play defense, like I said. So the UK market, let's at the UK market. It's a market that if you can get fans from there, they'll pay money and you can earn that money. It won't be just the UK fighter. You will get profit there as a North American fighter.
Profit. Now, what you mean by profit? Because I see Matt in the chat. He talked about Canelo now gets profit. I'm a little confused by that. So, are we talking about like what is profit? What are we saying when we say profit?
Not just a check for his labor. Well, I know, like when I mean his profit, I mean, all right, so it's like they make pay-per-views here, right? I mean, that's all profit that he's making off of it, correct? I mean, that's a surplus of money, right?
Okay.
So you got to think about it. If he fights Liam Smith, now he has 2 consecutive fights that is gaining money from the UK market, from the European market. And if he's showing consistent numbers, he's able to take away from their piece of the pie. This is all assumption, right? So he gets another world title against Liam Smith. Then he gets a huge money fight with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which most boxing fans, they know he's not the greatest, but it was, a size thing. And it did over like 1.1 million pay-per-view buys, which was not a number we've seen since, Mayweather had fought Pacquiao, I believe, which a couple of years, blew records. But no one else was touching that. Finally, we get the Gennady Golovkin fights back to back. And then, like you said, the zone deal is kind of threw everything kind of in a weird wrench. Rocky Fielding, first fight of the zone deal at a new weight, 168, for a regular title, right? Knocks a dude out in 3 rounds. UK market. He's with Golden Boy. He's not with Matchroom, but it's a UK market over here in the States. So they're probably getting their feet wet, seeing exactly what they could do because, the zone wants to be global. That's Sky Sports over there. Danny Jacobs can't complain about that, right? 160 champion, unification, moves out 175. Sergey Kovalev knocks him out in the 11th. And then here where it gets murky, we got the country music band and Avni Yildirim to then finish it off with Bivol the loss, and then Gennady Golovkin the 3. So, yeah, I mean, I can agree with you that the zone run has not produced the fireworks that we were getting before, mixed in with a couple, curveballs, the Amir Khans, the Chavez Juniors, the Angulos. You can eat those when you're fighting those in between a Mayweather Lada, in between a Miguel
Yeah,
Cotto and Liam Smith wasn't terrible. It was for a belt. I mean, that's not horrible, but still, if you're doing Cotto Khan and then Liam Smith the champion, people aren't going to complain too much. But it's what you didn't fight is what gets people upset.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like he's shooting himself in the foot to some degree. Yeah, secure the bag, right? Secure the bag. Man, let me get Matt up in here so he can bring some light up on this. Matt, what up, bro?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, man.
Okay. So what's the question? Let me try to clarify.
Okay, what do you mean by he's now getting profit, not just a check?
We got to think about it this way, right? When a promoter is the boss, right? Their way of getting money is collecting all the surplus money, all the surplus value created from the event, right? So pay-per-view, ticket sales, that all goes to them. But their cost has already been calculated. I've worked with promoters working on budgets, matchmaking, production, all that stuff. So I've sort of seen the behind the scenes. So most of the budget is already paid for or calculated into it, right? So for example, purses, it's not paid for till the day of, right? But that's calculated way ahead of time. So the promoter's going into the event thinking, I'm spending X amount beginning Y amount, right? And all of that money is being generated from the work of fighters, the laborers at the event itself, and that's how they're getting that money, right? A fighter going into an event that's not a promoter, they're not gonna.
You're breaking up.
They're getting just a check at the end of the night. Canelo has gone beyond that. Canelo has become a promoter and a boss while still working and providing labor for his events, obviously, and adding value to his events. He's now extracting value from other people on the events. So now he's worried about profit margins. Now he's worried about the bag, so to speak, right? So when we talk about a Canelo Benavidez fight or a Canelo Charlo fight, you got to think about now the profit, the surplus isn't just going to him or him and Eddie. It's now going to him, Eddie Hearn, and Al Heyman, and Charlo or Benavidez, because they have their own promotional companies now. The profit margins now significantly smaller. The amount of hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, has greatly increased. So the reality is that while that event might do more gross revenue, he might not make enough in net revenue for that to make sense comparative to an event where he is the primary promoter. He's working with somebody that, like a John Ryder, for example. So John Ryder is not going to be asking purse sizes like a Charlo or Benavidez. So even though the fight itself will probably do far less than what those two would do, he might end up making more money as a result because he is more control of the profit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying once all the expenses are put together, Canelo not only gets a check for the labor, but his promotion is a part of the entities that are paying for the expenses. I'm not that smart. Talk to me.
Yeah. So, like, for example, since he is part of the lead promoter, because he's listed as the lead promoter on BoxRec, he might be more primarily responsible for expenses, but he is most likely getting a bigger cut of the profit. So, like Canelo is now not just a fighter; he's like a Bob Arum, he's like an Eddie Hearn. So when we talk about like promoters exploiting fighters, like those guys. Canelo is now one of them. And, obviously, we can make arguments about, he's not as exploitative as Bob Arum or other promoters, but that reality exists, that he is now in that position where he's now a boss. He's not just a worker, and he has other people that he's employing.
Wow. So Floyd never reached that level while in ring, right?
Technically, no.
Mhm.
No, well, yes, he did. Yeah, Mayweather Promotions. So Mayweather Promotions existed post Oscar, right? I want to say maybe right before that fight. So Mayweather is the same exact sort of situation where he went from a fighter / just a worker to now also a boss, also an employer. And that's a totally different dynamic. And now he's in control of not just the expenses, but the profit. And the normal fighter isn't in control of the profit. The normal fighter will never see what the actual total gross revenue is for the event. The only people that will ever see that is for sure the promoter, and at the highest level, probably the networks too.
Okay, I totally get it. Vega, you got anything on that? You want to add anything to that?
No, nothing to add to that.
So Matt, you got anything? How you feeling about this UK run, the zone run? I haven't heard from you in a minute, man. I hope everything's well. I know you're involved in boxing over there. And I've been giving Canelo a little hell while we've been doing this pod. How do shed some light on this run, because I'm a little frustrated with Canelo, to be honest with you. How are you feeling about it?
I'm not as frustrated as you. I mean, a lot of these names are still good. Like guys like Billy Joe Saunders, guys like Callum Smith. Those are good names. Those are world champions. Those were feathers in his cap that he was probably going to get regardless of the lineup, so to speak, or the sequence of who he fights. I'm definitely with you on the idea of like Benavidez, Charlo. Those are the two fights that interest me the most, and we're not getting them. That's frustrating. I see that 100%. I don't think that being a fact also means that his DAZN run has been shit, because I don't think it has been. I see why he's done it. It was guaranteed money up front. He was allowed to really take the reins of his career. The fallout of it was him leaving Oscar. So, I think in terms of Canelo's career, it is a positive, because I don't think Oscar is a good promoter at all, to be quite honest. So I think it was a smart move, and it's guaranteed money, and at that time, Canelo Promotions wasn't what it was or what it is now. He had a few Canelo Promotions events back in like 2011, way back in the day in Mexico, but they were very small shows. This was a way of creating some sort of independence as a fighter. So I salute that in some sense. I think it's also one of those things where like 160 and 168, not the greatest divisions, so like it was always going to feel a little bit weak. I feel like, even guys like Demetrius Andrade, if he fought that guy in DAZN, would have mattered so much. 160 with, guys like Munguia, would that have mattered? I don't think so. I think the fight that interests me the most is 175. That Bivol rematch, a Better Be fight. Those fights intrigue me a lot. I think at 168, the only guy that gives him issues is Benavidez.
I mean, do we need to see Canelo at 175 or him drag Bivol down to 68? Because I don't think he can do anything at 75. Do you think does he stand a chance in the Bivol rematch? I don't think he does,
I think so.
man. Really?
I think so. I mean, we have to remember Bivol has had off nights. Bivol didn't look like the destroyer of Canelo's legacy before that fight, in my opinion. We had a guy that was going 3 fights a year for a while in Canelo. Guys at the top don't really do that. So I see that he tired himself out. He went up against a guy that was really good and really big. I think in a rematch would be different. I think Canelo does better in rematches as well. So I would pick Canelo in that rematch. Um, but again, it's who else does he? Who else beats Canelo?
David Benavidez. David Benavidez beats him.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think Canelo has gotten lazy. I mean, the Canelo that I used to love boxed some early on, would get on his toes, would shoot a jab. You know, there's a thing called a jab. This guy at 168. Now we all see this training with him and Reynoso, and he's just unloading on the bag. It's like, and then he goes into the ring and he's like drunk with his own power, and he's like punching guys in their arms and shoulders and expecting them to crumble. Am I tripping, or like what's really going on, man?
I think you're tripping a little bit. I mean, I think Canelo has improved drastically over the years in terms of the defense, his boxing ability, his head movement. You go back and watch like the Laura fight or the Austin Trout fight. Those were pretty bad fights in terms of like Canelo being a nimble fighter. That was a pretty basic boxer puncher version of Canelo Alvarez. I think Canelo has outboxed pretty much everyone in a very long time, except for Bivol. So I don't know. I don't see that. I see Canelo having one of the better jabs, one of the better body works in boxing.
Really?
I think
As of
his
late.
power has matured. Yeah, absolutely.
Good setups.
I think
good setups to his punches.
absolutely good feints. I mean, Canelo's pound for pound number one, probably still. You can make that argument.
What? Oh my God. Does he? I mean, how many punches around is Canelo throwing at this point? 20?
More than
25,
10.
maybe? Vega, what do you think, man?
Yeah,
Do you
but
think he stands a chance at against Bivol at 75? I mean, Canelo's probably a 60 fighter at his where he should be. If you ask me, in my estimation, do you see any adjustments he can make against a guy like Bivol?
No, not at all. I think Bivol's just too big naturally. Too good of footwork, too economical with his footwork, and just a better fighter at 175. I never liked him going to 175 to begin with. The Kovalev was a very calculated decision.
Yeah,
If you remember, Kovalev was in a war with Yard and
yeah.
had a 7 to 9 week turnaround from that fight day. I think it was like 9 weeks, but like a 6 week camp after a tough fight in his home of Russia and dealing with legal issues. I mean, I can spice it up as much as I can, but the fact is that the fact is it was a calculated risk, and it worked out. And if you remember, I felt like Kovalev was winning that fight. Started weighing down towards the back end. I mean, he was out jabbing the hell out of him, keeping him away. But to a little bit what Matt was saying, he's very, he's very economical. Canelo, he has great setups. He was finding a way to get close and set up the shot to finish Kovalev. But yeah, I don't think there's a chance in hell he beats Bivol unless they get something in his water. Do a little towel action. I don't know, pay somebody, which some people believe, that fight was not even close, right? A lot of people say 10-2. Others, ranges as close as 8-4. But
Yeah.
yet all three judges had the same exact scorecard turned in at 7-5. And I don't care. It's extremely difficult to find 5 rounds for Canelo, and to have the identical rounds is just insane.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Let me see if I could get my boy on here, man. Hardcore Dub, you there?
Yo, what's good?
Oh man, welcome. Glad to have you on, man. I just want to I'll start you off by asking them, are you excited for this Cinco de Mayo fight weekend at all?
Of course, man. Of course. It's more exciting for the implications. More excited for what will be the result of the Canelo win? What he's going to announce? Is he going to announce that he's going to fight Bivol, or I'm hoping that he throw away that game plan. I mean, I'm hoping that he throw away that ambition. Like my boy Vega said, he has no chance in hell. So, so I
Man,
don't
I'm
know.
shocked, Matt. I'm shocked. You are a Canelo fan, ain't you, Matt?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, come on.
God.
I mean,
Obviously.
let's be honest. Let's be honest here. The way Canelo hunts down his opponent, the way he slips shots, gets on the inside, there's very few people that do it like him in this sport. So when we talk
My
about guys that
God.
are bigger than him, he's already mastered how to get on the inside. You know, I, I see a Canelo that again has always been better in rematches, especially going back to that second Triple G fight when he had a much better game plan. I don't know. I think Bibble's really really talented. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's even the best guy in his division, possibly. So
Baturbiev.
I mean, that is
I
the fight. Unfortunately, the WBC won't sanction Bivol for stupid, bullshit reasons in regards to the Ukraine conflict. Because Beterbiev, even though he's Russian, like Bivol, Beterbiev lives in Canada. Bivol lives in Russia, so the WBC will not sanction that unification fight.
And it's funny though that they sanctioned the Bivol and Canelo though. It wasn't an issue then. They made it seem like Bivol was from Big Bear, California.
Well, that was the WBA that did that.
Oh, that was okay. Thank you.
I don't know, man. So look, man, let's you guys got any analytical breakdown? I would love to give some breakdown to this. Matt, seems like you know something about John Ryder. Tell us something about John Ryder, because we don't have much. It seems like Vega knows a few things. It seems like the Colin Smith fight, he got robbed versus Colin Smith, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I would say he got robbed against Callum Smith and arguably against Rocky Fielding as well. Ryder's a decent inside fighter. He's a poor man's version of Canelo. He's a boxer puncher, but he's aggressive. He's durable. I think we're gonna be surprised by how many shots Canelo lands on this guy, and Ryder just kind of eats it for a little bit. But he's too small. His whole game plan gives Canelo combination work. So I think Canelo's going to really shine in this fight. And again, 4 to 6 rounds. I think that's how it's going to go down. Canelo's going to finish him, maybe with a body shot in that time. And I think we're going to be entertained, even though it's a tune-up fight for what it is.
Vega, you got anything on it?
It's Canelo's first fight in 11 years in Mexico. He's coming off, I believe, was a disappointing effort against Golovkin. I felt that that second half of the fight, he seemed to really fade away, which is not something we've seen in a long time. The Bivol fight, you can just tell that his confidence was taken away. But the Golovkin, he started off really well, and as the fight went on, you just saw that the energy was gone, was leaving him. So he's coming off of surgery as well. So, yeah, I think Ryder's going to be tough. I think it's going to be pretty, slow pace, everyone taking their time as the fight starts to warm up. I think Canelo's going to start showing he is the obviously better, more superior fighter. But I'm expecting decision. I think I'm not sure there's going to be, any knockdowns. Maybe there is, but I do have a strong feeling of it going to full 12 with obviously Canelo with his hand
Full
raised.
12. Did you pick a full 12 on the Pick'em League?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So it looks like I'm winning this motherfucking week. Hardcore Dub. You know anything? You got any analytics for us to help us break down this Canelo Ryder? You know anything about Ryder, man?
Man, I don't know too much, man. I wish I would have at least watched the Ryder and Jacobs to prepare for the show, and just to be a little bit more prepared for it. But like my man said, I think he's a poor man's version of Canelo. He's I know he's going to be there to hit. He's going to be there to work. He's not going to be very elusive. So it should be a great fight, man. But I wish I would have remembered that he lost to Rocky Fielding. So I'm a little worried. that
Split
Canelo.
decision.
I'm a little I'm a little worried that Canelo may stop him before 6. I'm a little worried. I mean, I picked 10 on the Pick'em League.
Me and you got the same thing then.
Okay,
Yeah.
I picked, but I think because Canelo is a little older. He does have a little more mileage, so he may not stop him as early as he did Rocket Fielding. But we'll see.
So Vega got 12. And Vega, I think that's a bad pick for you. Look, Canelo needs to look spectacular. Homecoming fight. He's in front of the fam. He's in front of his
Right.
people. It's going to be imperative. I mean, I think we might see a bullshit ref stoppage. He throw a little bullshit flurry, got a Ryder in the corner. Here comes the ref. He's going to wave it off. Look, before we get up out of here, man, I want to get some early thoughts. We don't got to get too deep. Teofimo Taylor. Look, Teofimo, I got a liking for Teofimo. Now, he's made some distasteful comments lately. That's neither here nor there. I always thought Teofimo is athletic as any fighter there is. He could punch, he could box, he's fast, he's strong. But can he beat a dog like Josh Taylor? And I'm not sure. Josh Taylor came out and said he vows to retire Teofimo Lopez. I don't know that happens. And to me, this is basically a pick 'em fight. Vega, early thoughts on the Teofimo versus Taylor?
Yeah, I think, man, if this happened 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, I should say, it is a pay-per-view fight. Josh Taylor is, just maybe coming off of being undisputed, and Teo's coming off the Vasyl Lomachenko fight. That is a fight that I would pay for, and, everyone would be like, it's a 50-50 fight, and I still believe it's a 50-50 fight. However, Teo, like you said, he's everything that you mentioned. He's fast, he's athletic, he can box, but mentally, man, he just, in this game, you need to be elite mentally as well as everything physically, and he is not there, with his mind. When you look at Josh Taylor, he's a dude, doesn't do anything particularly great, but he does everything really well. You know what? He does do something great. He does all the in-betweens, right? The elbows, the holding, the understanding of, what rules to bend. So it's a 50-50 fight to me. Also, one last thing about Josh. He's been getting hurt a lot. Maybe it's making that 140. He's a bit thin man. So I'm going Teo, man. I'm going Teo.
You're going Teo. How do you have him coming out? What kind of victory we got?
Oh, man.
I mean, Ken, so with everything you said about Josh, the mental fortitude, with everything you said about Josh with the mental fortitude, that lends itself for 12 rounds not being an advantage to Teo. So can Teo get him out of there?
I think he can get him out of there. Teo's just so up and down, I feel this just in my head, right? It's just, I said I feel it in my head. I'm thinking it, and it's just something telling me Teo's gonna win, but I can't give you an exact reason. I just feel he's gonna pull it out, and he's gonna shake the game up again, just like he did when he defeated Lomachenko.
I think he's gonna rise to the occasion too.
What is it? Yeah. Is it on some Mikey? You see something, or you think? Would you just see something?
I think he has the better skills. And I think if he can he just needs to be great for 1 hour in that ring. That's great it. All this other stuff, for all we know, it's an act. I don't think it really is, but for all we know, maybe, God. Think about it, right? The last time we saw him is, do I still got it? And then he turned straight heel after that. Oh, I was playing with y'all. I got y'all. And then now this thing about, Top Rank and keep all the black fighters. Like, it's so crazy. It could be true, and it could just be all an act, man. And, I don't know. Josh Taylor, I just, one fight in the last, 18 months maybe.
Yeah.
Pulling out before the fight, pulling out after the fight because of injury. I don't trust him either. So if I had to pick one, something just tells me pick Teo. That's the guy to put $1 on, because that's as much you're gonna get out of me.
The battle of the racists. Now, come on now. What Josh Taylor say racist, man? I don't even want to know. Shit. He actually uses game plans in every fight. Look, man, let me bring my boy D Will on. He got on a fucking Canelo shirt, so we already know what it is. D Will, man, what's up, brother?
Odele.
Oh my God.
Odele. Hey, 'tis the season. We know each and every year about this time, Canelo blesses us
Each and
Oh,
every
God.
with some superior boxing skill and knowledge, man, for the fans. He does it straight for the fans. He's taking it home to Guadalajara, right? He's out there gonna do his thing in front of his home crowd. It's amazing, man. It's a special moment in boxing.
Are you excited? Because you jerking me around right now. You cannot be excited for this fight. Are you excited?
I mean, I'm not. This isn't the most exciting Canelo fight, but I'm always excited for a Canelo fight. He's going to put on for the fans. He's going to show tremendous boxing IQ, strength, defense. You know, Canelo is the G, man. So I'm gonna be watching it. I'm not gonna get a fight party. I'm not gonna go out and check it out, anything like that. But of course, me and my son will be at the house and we'll check it out, man. Because 'tis the season. It's Canelo time.
Willa, what you've been missing all this whole hour we've been on, man, is I've given Canelo a lot of shit because he haven't given me what I want.
What's
He hasn't
that?
given. Well, I want Charlo and I want Benavidez. And I didn't ask for Fielding, Jacobs, Kovalev, Smith, Yurgim, Billy Joe, Caleb, or Bivol, or Golovkin the third time. I didn't ask for any of those.
Yeah, but he fought Bivol. That's better than all those guys, right?
True. Now, that's it. Context, right? Is Caleb Plant a good fighter? Yeah. Was Sergey Kovalev a good fighter? Yeah.
Champion.
At the time, here nor there. But I didn't ask for that shit. Colin Smith is looking like a destroyer at 175, but I did not ask for it. You can't just give me something to say, this is what you need. I want to ask for some shit, and you the face of boxing, and you owe me.
Colin was at 168.
Right, 168.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for it.
No, I understand, but Canelo put in the work early. Canelo put a lot of work in early, making fights, big fights that we did want to see. Then he came back and he just was beating champions. All those guys you named, except Smith, I think were champions. And Plant was a champion. I think Plant was a champion, right?
Yeah, Smith was a champion. Plant was a champion.
I think Smith was a fake champion.
Was undisputed.
Yeah. And Smith was a fake champion. He was like a regular guy. So besides Smith, these are all champions that Canelo's fighting. I think I'm gonna probably, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but probably the guy who's fought the most champions is Mayweather, and close on that list is probably gonna be Canelo. He's fighting champions and he's whooping their ass, except when he got his ass whooped the last time. Canelo's daring to be great. You say you don't want to see it, but people are gonna tune in. He's gonna do about 800,000. He's gonna sell out. He's gonna sell out. He's gonna sell out Guadalajara, wherever they at, and it's gonna be a success.
Man, you got that. Can I see that Canelo shirt?
Oh,
Let me see this fucking thing.
Oh, that's nice right there. I did that for Cinco de Mayo. Been out with the family today, doing a little family day. So yeah, man. Hey, 'tis the season. Mayweather blessed us for a lot of times. This time of year, Mayweather was giving us the fights, and Canelo just, Canelo's taking the reins. That's the face of boxing.
You're very confident that he's going to reestablish himself as the face of boxing with the 800,000 pay-per-views.
No chance.
With
well, that's what you said. But remember last time when I said 800 plus for the Tank and whatchamacallit, you said no chance also.
I'm old and outdated. I'm also old and outdated, and I don't know shit.
So yeah, right. So Canelo probably gonna do. I give you minimum 700.
Told you I wanted to do this show without hating, but I cannot, because I used to love Canelo. Like I said, the goddamn Trout, Floyd, Angelo, Laura, Kirkland, Cotto run. I was like, this the guy. He fighting Laura. Floyd didn't want no smoke with Laura, allegedly. You know what I mean? And Canelo took him on. Trout, they said he should never do it. But
so the argument is, how many runs do you have to have like that?
Well, how I do that thought is I looked at once you get the torch, and this is just my own math, right? When Mayweather got that torch from Oscar, it was almost every time out. You could argue Robert the Ghost Garcia. You could argue that, but almost every time out, we got to see what we wanted. It was somebody that we want. Some people give shit about the Victor Ortiz. At that time, Victor Ortiz was a guy with a 97% knockout ratio and all this shit. He was a young killer.
Beat Andre Berto in a stunning, what it was, a back and
That was
forth.
his farewell fight, so we'll give him a pass for that. But I don't know, man. This whole DAZN run, Canelo been the poster boy. Willow, you remember we used to argue about the subscription-based formats, and I said this is the death of boxing because pay-per-view incentivizes competition. Subscription-based formats incentivizes retention, and that's all they care about. If I'm going to pay if I just get to see Canelo, it really doesn't matter who it's against. So I just hate it. I hate it, and it's making me a hater. And
it sounds good, except for he's fighting champions. I mean, it sounds good except he's racking up, except he's undisputed. You feel what I'm saying? It all sounds good, but he's been giving us what we need. That's why he's the face of boxing. But this right here isn't the greatest fight. And after, like I've always said since the beginning, since I've been watching boxing, a guy that's putting his life on the line, a guy that's doing it for the fans. If you go take a tough fight, I'm cool with you just taking some guy the next round. Next fight, take whoever you want. You take a tough fight, take a regular guy, then come back and give us a big fight. And that's what he always done. That's what Canelo's always done every time. And this is just the same thing he's going to be doing. So this fight isn't the best, but we're all excited to see Canelo. And then what is that in September? What is that? Another Mexican holiday in September?
Mexican Independence.
Yeah, we'll see him again. It'll probably be Bivol again, or whoever he thinks deserves.
Do you think he has a chance in hell of beating Bivol? Do you think he has a chance in a cold hell beating Bivol?
Maybe at a weight down, maybe.
Oh wow!
If he drinks.
Yeah, but Bivol wants that. He said he wants to fight for the undisputed. So maybe not at light heavyweight, but at wherever he's the undisputed. I think that's where he should fight. And I don't know. Bivol whooped his ass. He showed him that he was a little too small going up there. But if he it's 50-50. But
I just think it's interesting. Interesting you say he gave us what we needed. Like nobody was asking for him to undispute 168. You know what I mean? No one was asking for him to go up and fight Bivol. But no one said, but who said we needed it? No, he created that narrative. 140, now we look at undisputed, right? Remember, Terrence Crawford was like one of the first ones of these current crop of fighters to undisputed it. And when he did it, it was like a cool accomplishment. But I didn't feel like, he ran through some great fighters, but it was a great accomplishment again. But we got Canelo that's done it. We've got Inoue that's done it, right? We have several other guys, and I don't feel like it's made boxing better. I don't feel like it's helped grow the sport because it's Inoue's big fight is not moving up to fight Fulton. It would have still been huge, as big as it is now, without him undisputing, right? If what's another example, right? Terrence Crawford, undisputed 140, moves up to 147, and it has not led him to get the big and best fights that boxing, how about this, needs. So yeah, I don't think he's given us anything we needed. It just seems like it's a calculated, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna force feed it to the people. And we've been on his side, right? We've been on his side. I've been on his side until recently. I was a Canelo hater, turned to a Canelo supporter after the Gennady second, after the rematch, when he came forward, when people said that this guy was a monster, and he went at the monster and won. But I mean, if you just look at the state of boxing, I feel like Floyd is the one that started this with this. You got to beat champions. You got to beat champions. Just because you have a belt, we're learning it doesn't make you this great fighter or even the best fighter in your division. right? So
If you got all
Canelo,
the belts, you are the best fighter in the
really?
division.
All right, let me work towards that, right?
Yeah, okay.
But then now Canelo has done his run. He undisputed. He's moving up and down in weight. He'll fight at 168, 160, 175, undisputed. Go back up to 175. Come back down to 168. And now you look at a gentleman like Gervonta Tank Davis, right? 3-division champ, as we like to say. Currently has a WBA regular belt. And if you poll boxing fans or just people that feel they know the sport or follow it, they will tell you Gervonta Tank Davis. I would guarantee more than half of them will say Tank is the number one fighter in the lightweight division that contains the undisputed champion and a former 2-weight champion that's undefeated named Shakur Stevenson, silver medalist for the Olympics for this great country that we live in.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think that could be disputed.
If only 50%. Yeah. If 50% say it, then that doesn't make it true. But if you got all the belts, it makes it true. So we could think and like guess and say we'll poll and we'll do a poll and we'll ask. But the truth is, Tank Davis is a regular champion. He's not a real champion. We might think he's the best, but there's champions out there that he's scared to fight and he doesn't want any smoke with for some reason. Guys that are calling him out, right? So if he's not fighting these guys, then we could say who's the best, what's the best. We don't know. If I got all the belts, there's no disputing. That's why it's called.
And so is it safe to say that you're
Undisputed.
picking Dave? You're picking Dave over
Right.
Tank?
Yeah,
Is it safe
right.
to
So
say
you have Haney favored over Tank, right?
Not
Oh, okay.
necessarily.
Okay. That's the whole point.
But not necessarily. But the
I
proof
see
is
where
only
you're
in the
coming
pudding.
from, though.
The
I
proof
get
is
it.
only in the
Yeah,
pudding.
I get it.
It's not in the mix. It's in the pudding. So I mean, hey, is he gonna fight him? When a guy calls you out and say, you know, he it doesn't seem like he wants to fight him, so he might be scared. Shakur Stevenson says, I've been whipping these guys for years and years. You know what I'm saying? So who knows who the best is, but guess who we know. If you got all the belts, you are the best.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So they
You got
do
all the belts, you're the
ring.
undisputed champion. We're learning it doesn't make
Undisputed.
you the best. That doesn't make you the best.
No,
It just
make you the
makes you
champ.
what
It
it's
also doesn't
called,
make you the
undisputed.
face.
No. Canelo is the face.
Mm.
Well, of the division, the undisputed champ should be the face of the division, but that's not the case.
No, it's not the case. Not the case with them because Tank Davis is the big name in that division. We see him and Ryan Davis did 1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You know.
Look, man, Dub, did I get your early thoughts on Teofimo and Taylor?
No, sir. I have Josh Taylor winning. I think the athleticism is not going to do well against Josh Taylor. That is the bigger man. That should be at 147. That's why I think he's having the complications and having to pull out and things of that nature. I think he just needs to go up, man. But he's still hanging down at 140, and he may not be the better boxer than T.O., but I think he's the more dog than T.O. We can all say that we can all say that he's mentally tough. We can all say that for 12 rounds, we know we're going to get Josh Taylor, except for the Catterall fight. I didn't see him locked in as much as previous fights and as sharp. But other fights, the Ramirez, the Regis, the Ivan fight, all of those fights, man, he was locked in the full 12, and got the fighter. Or a couple of those fights, he stopped the fighter or he dropped the fighter. So yeah, I got Josh Taylor beating Teofimo bad.
Oh, what you calling a knockout? A TKO?
I can see a knockdown. Because Teofimo is aggressive. He's athletic, so he's going to be jumping in and out, and I can see Josh catching him.
D. Will, man, early thoughts on Teofimo Taylor?
Well, JP, you know, I was a strong Teofimo Lopez supporter. You know, even when he took the loss, you know, as a young man, when your wife is taking your kids or something, you know, you got all this nonsense going on at home. I can understand why you have an off night, and I still think he's one of the best guys out there. But you know, with this situation going on with him talking about the black fighters, I had to listen to it a couple of times. I'm like, Teofimo, you're my guy, man. I've done a couple of interviews with Teofimo. I talked to him. Seems like a cool dude. I'm like, what is this? You got his dad talking. It sounds. I don't know. I don't really like Teofimo at this point in time. Don't say I might not change my mind and go back, because I was a fan of him. I thought he was big, strong, had the skills, had the bravado, had the all the makers to be a big dog. But he always had that family trouble. Remember when he fought the Asian guy? It was like his mom or something didn't want to be in his corner or some shit with his family, and the Asian guy almost whooped his ass, right? Then to get Cambosis, we find out that his girl done took the kid, they missing, something going on. He's still out here fighting, so he's a sucker for love type dude. And I don't know if you could be that in boxing. And that's why the family didn't want him to get married in the first place, probably because they knew what kind of guy he was, man. So we're going to see. He might be like Keith Thurman. He might be washed up, man. After the marriage, it's done went all downhill. I think he's better than Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor's good. I think he is a dog. And he's proven over the last couple of fights that he's got more of a dog than Teofimo. But we've seen Teofimo be a dog, especially when that big old tall Asian was whooping his ass. He showed that he was a little dog in that, man. So I don't want to call this one, because I don't want to pick out of frustration. I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. I got to see a little more when it gets closer to it. Let me see what they're talking about. Is Teofimo's family fighting over the girl or over his wife?
Man.
Does the wife got the kid? Has she kidnapped his son and took him somewhere he can't find him the night before the fight? All this stuff happening with Teofimo, man. If he could keep it 100% together, I think he's probably the best fighter, the best young fighter in the game. And I've always thought that, except maybe for Shakur.
I tend to agree.
The best.
However, I'm not accepting any of those excuses. Not a
Yeah,
one.
he had too much. Remember, he also had too much oxygen in his lungs last fight.
Right.
right. So you never know what's going on. You never know what's going on with Teofimo.
I thought that was a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, dude, we've seen a lot of our favorite fighters going through crazy shit prior to fights. So I'm not having none of that baby mama drama bullshit for a reason you can't concentrate in a fight. I'm not accepting any of it. I will shoot him some bail here, though. Floyd said the same exact things when he was trying to buy his way out of Top Rank. He said, Bob, Top Rank wants to promote the Hispanic fighters, which rightfully so, to me at the time, they should have been doing. So, like I say, man, the color here is green.
And that sounds like Teofimo did his homework, and he's saying the same thing Mayweather said. It seems like
Floyd said the same fucking thing. Top Ranks wants to promote these Hispanic fighters when Oscar was the man over there. Rightfully so. They should have been pushing Oscar farther at the time than they were pushing Floyd at that time. So yeah, man, I'll shoot Teofimo some bail there. I believe it's taken out of context to some degree. But again, Teofimo, you got your ass kicked by Cambosos. You dropped the ball. You dropped the ball, bro. So don't go looking for somebody to blame. I don't want to hear no baby mama drama shit. I don't want to hear about no excessive air in your fucking lungs. I don't want to hear none of that. So I'm not giving no bill for none of that shit. Again, I'm like you, Will. I thought Teofimo's fantastic. I think he's as good as any young fighter out there. He was a part of the young Four Horsemen, right? Who was it? Shakur, Javante, Devin, Teofimo, right?
No, it was Teofimo, Tank, Shakur. Not Shakur. Devin and Ryan.
Ryan was one of.
Yes.
So Haney wasn't one of the Four Horsemen.
No, Haney. No. It's Haney, Ryan, Tank, and Teo.
So no Shakur.
No Shakur.
That needs to be changed. So if we were to update those Four Horsemen today, I think on the outside looking in would now be Teofimo, and he's trying to get back inside the horsemen per se. quick. Let's do the last one. Haney Loma. I started off. I got Haney boxing his ears off. I got Haney not allowing him to get close. We know Loma short arms, but he knows how to maneuver. He definitely knows how to maneuver. But I don't think any of those matrix tricks, all that being on the side of a dude and all that stuff, he ain't gonna be able to do that to Dev. Will he catch Dev with something slick? Will he be able to time that jab? If Dev gets jab crazy, I think I think Loma has enough experience to know what to do with that. I just don't think he could do it regularly enough to win 7 rounds. Al, what you got on it?
Man, we are on the same wavelength today. It's a little annoying. Nah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree. I think Haney has faster feet, especially with Loma as his advancing age, or as Haney would say, he's old as shit, or whatever he said. He's longer, so longer, quicker, faster. Has a great jab, really great jab. I think he can literally just use that jab, throw an occasional right hand, and adjust to anything that Loma tries to do to get past that jab and cruise to a victory. I think one thing we've seen from Loma, especially as of late, is that late surge. How is Haney going to handle that late surge? If you look at a few of the last fights, right? You go to Linares' fight, the 10th round, he got clipped. He had to spend those last 2 rounds trying to make sure he saw the finish line. If you watch the JoJo fight, JoJo just pressed forward, would land a couple counters, couple hard shots, and then towards the end, a lot of people felt that he hurt him. Cambosos, I don't remember. I know the second fight, there was absolutely no worries in that fight. He only got caught a couple times in the first one, but I don't remember him being hurt. But, that's going to be the biggest thing is towards the end of that fight, Loma's going to start coming. How is Haney going to take it? Is he going to make the right adjustments? I feel like he will. I think he's coming to his own, and I have it like a 9-3 victory.
D. Will, Haney Loma. You muted, big dog.
Yeah, my bad. So, hey, Haney is probably about to get his ass whooped. What we saw from Loma last time, against Teofimo, we saw him come on strong at the end, and he was giving Teofimo that working tool. If I remember, like maybe the 11th or 12th round, Teofimo dug deep. Remember, we were talking about that dog, and he stood in there and he started whooping a little Lomachenko's ass, right? But Devin Haney ain't that big. Devin Haney ain't that strong. Lomachenko is fresh, even though he's old, he was fighting. Well, I say that he was fighting a lot of amateur fights, but he ain't been in the program, for that long, that many fights. I think he's gonna show him that all that shit that he was doing, we say wouldn't work. Even when he lost to Teofimo, it was working. Started working at the end, and I think he figured out, hey, these young guys, I can't wait all day. He took them too long against Teofimo. He had to figure him out, and Teofimo's strong. Devin Haney ain't strong. Lomachenko's out there, where he's at in the Ukraine. These boys out there doing who knows what. I think Devin Haney's got gold teeth now. He's shining. He's a big dog.
Yeah. Those are bad signs.
Hey, this is a good kid. This is a good kid with his father. Now he's a thug. Those are guys.
Oh, why? Because he has gold teeth.
No, he wasn't that guy. But now he's teeth shining. He's big piece and chains. He's just a whole different guy. And that's when you get exposed. Exposure is coming. Lomachenko, and I don't like Lomachenko. I really hate him. I think he was whooping on little black guys, his whole career, whooping them, making them come up and whooping their ass. And I don't really like him. But this time, hey, I want to see Devin Haney get his ass worked out there.
Hardcore dub, man. Save the day, hardcore dub, man. What did?
Yeah, man, we're gonna look out for my guy Devin, man. He young, he fly, he flashy. That is not. This may be his true character coming out, man. He may be that guy. You got to remember how young he was and how quiet.
Youngest champion.
You know what I'm saying? So now when he getting older and he's starting to come into himself, now you're seeing the big change. Now you're seeing the gold teeth. So this may be the real Devin. It may be. So you may have to wrap your head around it.
Real quick. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
What other guys that grew up in boxing have done that? These are all the same guys. When you grow up in the boxing, this is who you are.
Mhm.
It's not. This is like being in the army your whole life. That's who you are. He's changing. This
Right.
isn't him. Shakur
Right.
ain't got gold teeth. Floyd didn't get no gold teeth. All the guys that grew up in
Oh
boxing.
God.
But Devin, I mean, okay, so you want
Ryan
Devin to have
Garcia
gold
ain't
teeth?
got it. Tank ain't got it. Tank ain't changed. Like he's the only
Tank
one
is
that's
wearing
changed.
purses and shit now.
Hold on. So
Tank
you
is
wanted
still the
Devin
same
to,
guy.
so you wanted Devin to have gold teeth at the age of 15?
No. I just want him. Why is he getting gold teeth at the age of 23? We got our gold teeth at 18.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Because he's changing. Who else has done that? If you give me an example of somebody who's been in boxing the whole time and like and flipped and now they're a thug, because he wasn't a thug. He's
Why
a
is he a
boxer.
thug?
Yeah, I don't see him being a thug.
You
Because
throwing
he
that
talking
T
just
word
thug.
around
Because
awfully
he
loose.
talking shit. No. He's not a thug. That's the whole point. He's not
Right.
a thug. No. He's not
Right.
a
I
thug.
mean,
He's
and just because
portraying
the
a thug.
career is associated, not just associated with being a thug, but let that man actions prove to be or define his character and not to be judged as a thug. Just because he chooses to wear gold teeth don't mean that's just a fashion statement. That's all it is. Now,
Okay.
if you say that he was out here gold teeth robbing people, if he was out here gold teeth committing crimes,
Right.
then we
Pulling a gun out on people.
Word.
like
Talking
he
a whole bunch of shit. This is it's a new Devin Haney. Y'all say it might be him the whole time. I don't believe it. Think he's still a daddy's boy who's out there, got a little money, and now he's now he
Go with the daddy's boy
Yeah,
shit.
Okay.
Y'all
Okay.
fucked up, man.
We kind of got off track a little bit. Hold on, let
go
me get
ahead. My bad, man.
It's cool. So if Devin Haney and the Loma fight, I think is similar, or it could be the deciding factor could be just like in the Teofimo and the Josh fight. Can it be an inside fight? If Josh can make it an inside fight on Teofimo, that changes the game. Just like in the Loma and Devin, if Loma can make it an inside fight, man, it changes everything. Like my man said, it's just I see Loma. We know Loma is the much better inside fighter, so we know he can really beat Devin on the inside. Will Devin get tired? Will he eventually have to stop all the movement and sit and trade with Loma? And I do believe Loma will start earlier. Was it Teofimo power? The reason Loma didn't push the gas at the beginning, or was it the things that Teofimo was doing with his feet work, with always being in position to probably land that power punch that Loma was scared of or worried about? I'm not sure. But like my man said, I don't think Devin possessed those same strengths. He don't have that pop to make Loma concerned for him to turn on the gas early. So I can see Loma doing all of those angles and trying all of those things round 2, round 3.
All right, man. Well, I'm somewhat lost for words by some of the observations here tonight. Me and Vega, great minds think alike. D Will, you got that goddamn Canelo shirt on. And C Dub, I expect nothing less from you other
Thanks for having me.
than to be different.
Great.
You know what I'm saying? But
It was good to meet you too, D Will.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all,
Yes,
boys.
sir.
I'm gonna wrap it up, man. I appreciate y'all for stopping by, spending some time with your boy, man. I appreciate y'all. Heavy-handed edition. I'm out.
Lakers.
All right.
You already
Good
know.
shit.
And we gonna do that NBA show, D. Will.
All right, we'll see, man.
All
2024.
right. All right.
That's
Later.
like a goat. That's goat shit right there. Have a good one, man.
All right, y'all.